Hello everyone, this is Everhard, and with me I have Deathsadvocate, my esteemed colleague. Hello there.
Hello.
So today we're gonna do something a little special. We're gonna first of all show a deck you made a post about recently, Big Lilith, and we're gonna show you playing in the tournament with it. The tournament that was the big tournament that was just recent, just yesterday. The
Yeah, the
qualification,
invitational.
the qualification for a qualificational for the invitational.
Right.
Okay, so we're looking at the deck right now. So why don't you talk about it a bit?
Well, I call this one Bottomless Abyss because, a bottomless abyss would be a really big abyss.
Yeah,
Anyways, that
yeah, no, I
aside,
like that. I like that, and it's kind of kinky too, if you want to look at it that
yeah,
way.
that aside, there's nothing real fancy about it. It's just, sort of old school, ramp into big Abyssian minions and win, but then we add in the Phantasm package, which gives it a little bit of a bump. I've done a
Yeah,
lot of experimenting with that.
it makes
Very
the
toxic
it turns the
and
big
powerful.
minions into big minions.
Yeah. So the key with Phantasm is you want, obviously, he's best paired with Rush, and then Celerity is the next best bet. And then the next key is you want to limit the amount of minions in the deck. That way he's buffing hopefully the same minion twice and only things with Rush and Celerity, which this
Right.
does really well. And beyond that core package, it's just a bunch of tech choices, like lots of healing against aggro, EMP because it's a great ramp target that really messes with a lot of the decks that are out there right now. Tiny bit of AoE with grass, good cycle, and good removal. And it's not very fancy, but it really works well. I've laddered up with it all the way to uh, number 2 on the S rank ladder. I can't quite seem to get 1 because I keep getting tired and playing in the late at night and making stupid mistakes. But
Right.
yeah, it's a very powerful deck and it's quite effective. And I like it.
Very cool. It does seem good. Desolator is the bane of my existence.
I still get a kick out of everyone's like, this card is terrible when it was previewed. I'm like, what? No, that card is absolutely amazing. It is exactly what Abyss needs. And now everyone's been eating their words because it
It's
just turned out to almost be an auto in every Abyss deck. Because
right.
it's card advantage. It's ping. It's healing. It's so good.
It's
So
a moral advantage because your opponent becomes frustrated.
good.
It's
Yes.
like
Well, Phantasm's way more frustrating.
yeah, Phantasm is just you want to die, yeah, but Phantasm is stupid, so never mind that. And about the everyone thinking the card is bad, that reminds me of Circulus. Oh, that's bad. That's gonna be bad. No, it wasn't. You remember that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, uh, we got distracted a little bit, but we're gonna see you playing this deck in the tournament, and you made it to the finals. You beat Hacker, and you beat Kolos in one round, and
I'm pretty sure it's Kolos. It was the account name is Chio Chan Desugu, but I'm 99% sure that's one of Kolos's alternate accounts.
right. And I'm gonna just mention that in this tournament, something a bit weird. In this tournament, you could see the deck list. I mean, you could see the opponent's deck list, and he could see yours. So that you want to explain how that changes your this
It
deck?
does change things a bit. Like I would definitely play differently than I usually did, knowing what I'm up against. Since these decks that I brought to the tournament are a bit more adaptable. They don't have like a cemented game plan. They're not hardcore aggro or hardcore control. I've got a rough game plan and I
Flexible.
need to adapt to the matchup. Knowing what the matchup was greatly changed things, especially for this first match against our hacker. I knew for a fact that he wasn't running Superior Mirage.
Right. This is like crazy, man.
So normally against Vet, if they're running Superior, I just assume they're running Superior Mirage, so you don't want to risk screwing up with Revenant and just auto-losing because they play Mirage in response. But I knew that he didn't have it, so I just, right from the start, I was playing and replacing differently.
But, now that I think about it, it's kind of smart to not include that because maybe, it's arguable, but if your opponent's seeing your deck list, then you don't want to waste a card because if you're playing Mirage, you're definitely wasting a card. You know what I mean?
I'd have probably... I think Mirage is just so good. Like, I would have at least put one in the deck. That way you can still bluff. Like, usually I'll put two in my Vet decks.
Me too.
But I would just put one just so your opponent knows it's there.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, I agree with you. Okay, so we'll hop into the game. I'm loading it. It's in front of me now. Is in front of you too?
Yep, should be. Wait.
Okay, so I got it.
Loaded the wrong one.
All right.
I need to go against our hacker. Where is it?
It's in the bottom of page 1, if I'm not mistaken.
No, because that's actually a Vitruvian game.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got the wrong one. Yeah, 2.
Page 2. There we go.
Sorry about that, folks. We're just gonna
at the top of the page 2.
Load it up. Abyssian, there we go. Okay, so I'm gonna pause it and then cue you in. Okay, so you're looking at the cards?
Yep.
You cannot escape us. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's go.
So, right away, I see I have Phantasm in hand, which is always good against Vitruvian because, between Obelisks and just his BBS, and just they have limited ways to answer Phantasm. Like, their best way is Rasha's Curse, which gets you at least 1 proc. I guess they could be running the Blast artifact, but you don't usually see that unless it's Saj. So, obviously, I'm digging a little bit for Rush. I've already got my Tiger, so I don't really need the Revenant right now anyways, and I'd rather find a Darkfire to try to get one of those turn 2 Vorpal Reavers, which is always a really big advantage, especially because it would be before he'd have Blood of Air. But I didn't find the Rashas, and I figured I could try to get Phantasm on Tiger.
And now we did see that you did pull Rev, and it did get boosted, so...
Yep, twice.
Yeah.
And that is precisely why Phantasm is such a strong card, especially against Vitruvian, because the only way they have to remove it gets you a proc.
Right.
And so now I've just got that Revenant that I can just hold on to for a while. And so now I know his deck's pretty aggressive, and also Vitruvian's been favoring more aggressive decks. They're either like super aggressive decks or fault decks, or a little bit of a mix of both. So I'm just sort of trying to keep his field clear and keep him from snowballing a board so that I can hold out until I can start dropping Revenant and Vorpal Reaver. Normally I wouldn't be keeping Void Pulses this early, but I know how aggressive his deck is, so I wanted to hold on for the healing. And so he's just trying to overwhelm me, and to be expected, just boxing me in, trying to keep his Obelisk within a little bit of range there. I did throw down some creep under it and where the globe was a little bit ago, just because slowly killing that Obelisk and denying him that globe. And right now I'm again just sort of trying to keep his field clear, backing away from Obelisk range, and keeping myself high on health, because again he's playing a pretty aggressive Vitruvian fault deck.
Right, just surviving to the end game and everything will be fine.
Second I hit 6 mana, Vorpal Reaver comes down.
Yeah.
And that's game over unless he has Blood of Air. If he has Blood
Right.
of Air, okay, then next turn it's a 10 power Spectral Revenant, and then I have the EMP, which can be good against Vitruvian, like especially if they're playing a lot of Obelisk, but he doesn't really play very many Obelisks, so I got rid of it looking for, either a Desolator, since my hand's starting to get a little small, or another Revenant.
Another
something
Rev
like that.
would be great.
And again,
but I'm assuming we
normally
will
against
see the first Blood of Air here.
Yep, of course.
Definitely, yeah.
And again, normally against Vitruvian, you don't want to play your Revenants unless it is to end the game, because it is just too risky versus Superior Mirage. Now,
Right.
occasionally, if you've managed to push your opponent to one side, you can play a Revenant, move it forward 2 spaces, and then back away 2 spaces, and then he can't just bum rush you with his Revenant copies. But that doesn't happen very often. But again, this is a special circumstance since I knew exactly what he was playing because of how his tournament worked. So now I'm just going face with Revenants because it's going to be hard for him to answer, especially since he's already down a Blood of Air.
Yeah.
And that's just what the deck does. Like, has a ton of sustain to get aggro a really hard time, and then just starts shifting into dropping big late game threat after late game threat, and or starts pumping them out early with Darkfire Sacrifice. He got rid of the Phantasm early on, which is good, because otherwise, that Revenant or Tiger would have just killed him a turn ago. But,
Yeah.
just the two bonuses that the Phantasm got because he's vet was all I needed. And I just used Grasp of Agony and that final Revenant to close the game out.
Yeah, that was. It's annoying how straightforward the Phantasm games are, and yours really. With your deck, you have a really good strategic concept of that's surviving, and you have tons of health. You have the artifact, you have the Void Pulse, you have Desolator.
Mm-hmm. And again, Phantasm is anywhere between sort of bad to utterly broken, depending on A, if your opponent can answer it, and B, how your deck's built. And this one is specifically built with him in mind, making sure his targets are good and limited.
Right. Okay, so that was the first game. So the second one from the tourney, we'll see Kolos. And that's, let me see if I can locate that. Yeah, there it is. Alright, so do you have that loaded?
I'm loading it up right now. The list is being very slow. Alright, there we go. It's the one against his Starhorn.
Alright, that's I'm looking at the hand, like Darkfire Sacrifice, Phantasm, Rev, and
That is
Tiger.
the exact opening hand you want to see.
Yeah.
Like,
My God.
that is the ideal opening hand. You have 2 rush minions, removal, Phantasm, and Darkfire.
Oh my God.
That is about as ideal as it gets. Anyways, you ready to start this?
Yeah. 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright, so I look at my hand and I'm like, I think I want all of that.
Yeah.
Basically, the only way that could have been better is if that Revenant was a Vorpal Reaver, because that could be a turn 2 Vorpal Reaver with Phantasm, into Globe, and Darkfire Sacrifice. Now, there's something else I did a little unusual because I know what his deck is. He's playing a very aggressive mech deck with Decimus Spikes as his backup win condition, and he's not running Tiger. So I know he wouldn't actually have anything to... He wouldn't be able to kill my Phantasm with the Tiger.
Yep.
Usually I'll play Phantasm against the back wall so Tiger can't get it on that first turn.
Yeah.
Unless I'm planning to run it into a Globe and Darkfire Sack it into a Vorpal. But I didn't have the Vorpal, and I knew he didn't have Tiger, so I just played it forward in case I drew into a Vorpal.
Right.
But anyway, so he's developing mechs, putting down ranged. I'm looking at my hand. I'm seeing what I've got. I know I need to end this game quickly, so right now I just put down a second Phantasm, just trying to buff up those minions even more. And again, with how his deck works, I know he actually did not have a way to kill both Phantasms. So he was pretty much screwed to either not putting down mechs, which would be the doom for his deck, or killing one and playing a few things, which is exactly what he did, which let me get a really nice buffed up hand. So now I'm I know I need to kill him before Mechazor comes out or before Decimus Spike starts hitting. So I'm just getting really aggressive, and with that 10 power Revenant and that 7 power target, using that globe to get both of those, putting on the blade, I'm getting a lot of face damage in. I then went ahead and sacrificed my Phantasm because I know I'm not going to get any more value out of it. I want to make sure I can play that Revenant the next turn if I need to, because if he doesn't block me, I have game just by hitting him and playing Revenant.
Right.
However, Kolos is a very good player, and he knew better than that, obviously. But again, Darkfire is cool because it sticks around for a while. So I don't have to play Revenant this turn. I can instead, focus on staying alive and clearing his board if I'm unable to get game.
Right.
And staying alive is much more important because I know how much damage, how quickly his deck can do. So I know I can't get game with the Revenant, so I need to instead stay alive, clear the field, heal up, because all I need to do is now get a Revenant out the next turn. That's all I need. He's at lethal thanks to Phantasm Place, which again, because of how the deck's built, it consistently gets good value like that.
Yeah.
And if he had Flash, Decimus, and Tectonic Spikes in hand right now, I'd be screwed. But
three cards are not that easy to get.
A touch unusual.
Yeah.
Oh, and the other thing is, I played around that Frenzy there to make sure he could get minimal value out of it. Just by sacrificing the Wraithlings nearby me. Not that it mattered, since at this point I was just trying to stay alive, but it also... That's just a good habit to be in. Play around Frenzy, exactly. Play Diag, keep things separate. You did have the distance, but now it's over.
Nice. That's really clean. I love how clean that is. 10-10.
Yeah. So, but both of those matches were just a little unusual. That's not how I usually play the deck. I had to play it differently because of how that tournament was set up and the information I had.
So we're gonna see a normal ladder game now, and be a little
this
more
one was
usual.
actually in the tournament, but it played out much more normally against Vs.Rhacker again in the semifinals.
Right.
Because he was playing just your pretty standard Bond Argeon list, which I don't need to really change how I normally play the deck to. I don't have to play around Mirage. I don't have to go crazy aggressive. I just, usual game plan is the usual game plan against Lionar.
Yeah, you just gotta stay away from tombstones and shit.
Yeah. I don't think he was actually running into Ioltus, which surprised me. His list was a little odd, but certainly effective.
All right, yeah, he did get to the semis.
He was going for more of the traditional late game Bond Argeon.
Right. With the Iron Cliffs and maybe Aegis Barrier.
Yep, he had both of those, and I believe he also had the Grand Master. Anyways, you ready to get this one started?
Yeah, so this is the second screen and the top video. First one?
It would be on the second screen, but I believe it's the second one. We already watched the first one.
No, the second one we have Abracadani, so that's not that at all.
It's there's two Abyssian matches against Vs.Rhacker on the second page. We watched the first one at the very top. Now it's the second one, sort of towards the bottom.
But we have a loss here for Abyssian.
So should I back out and look at my page?
Yeah. Sorry about another small delay, but
Another small
I'm gonna tell the folks in the audience, and meanwhile, that we have in the description we have links to all the games. If you want to skip the talking, personally, I like to kind of look at these videos as kind of a podcast where we kind of shoot the shit, and so we have the links to if you want to skip that.
All right. So yeah, on the second page, the very first game was against our hacker, and that's the one we watched a little bit ago.
All right.
And then 1, 2, 3, 4 games up from the bottom is the second.
Got it. I don't know how I missed that, but I got it. Okay.
It is.
Okay, so I got the cards on screen. 3, 2, 1.
All right. So
we've already serial placing. I'm looking at.
I got another basically perfect opening. Yeah. I sort of know what his deck is, but either way, like with that opening, I don't care what I'm against. I'm going to try to put a Phantasm into a Globe for a turn 2 Vorpal because that is beautiful.
It is.
However, he knows better. He makes sure I get no value out of that Phantasm. And that I can't contest the Globe. So at this point, Revenant feels a bit too slow, because I know I'm going to want to use my Darkfire Sacrifice on that Vorpal Reaver. So at this point, I'm just denying him a Globe and using my mana, because Spectral Blade is never a bad thing to equip. And my BBS is up next turn, so assuming I don't get provoked, I can Globe BBS Darkfire Vorpal.
Nice.
Which is exactly what this deck loves to do.
What has he got for single removal?
I believe he's got the... Why can't I remember the name?
Me neither. I just call it Sacrifice.
He's got Martyrdom.
I just call it Sacrifice, man.
Okay. He's got Martyrdom. He's got Dispels. But anyway, so
okay.
Yeah, as planned, clear his field, heal, Darkfire out my Vorpal Revenant, which is just... It's pretty much an answer or die threat, especially this early in the game. And even if you kill it, okay, well now I have a field full of Wraithlings that can do quite a bit of work on their own.
So we're going to see the sack I'm betting. Wow.
Yep, so like I can kill that, I can punch him, I can heal up off of it, and my Reaper's still alive, still forcing an answer, and I'm just healing and maintaining advantage. Yeah, I didn't play that Inkling Surge there because there was just no reason for me to. I'd rather save it to combo with my BVS and get the draw at this point, rather than just force spend that 1 mana.
Yeah, of course.
You don't always have to spend all your mana.
Yeah,
and that's the thing about Inkling Surge. It's a great turn 1 play to contest a Globe with, or it's great late game because you can use it for draw power.
Yeah, it's very versatile. It's a great
card.
You
don't usually use it in the mid game, just stand alone.
You know what I like?
It is either to be used in combination with Sacrifice or with draw.
Yeah, or the removal card of Abyss.
Ritual Banishing is I say Sacrifice in the Magic the Gathering term of sacrificing a minion, not specifically.
All right, gotcha.
Anyway,
and I just wanted to add that putting 2 Inkling Surges is a great first turn too, because you get a draw. Oh my god.
Yeah, deck's just doing what it does, continuing to put down big threats, making great advantage out of my Wraithling field, just keeping his field clear, keeping a lot of pressure on. And this way, I was able to get both hits off that Vorpal Reaver and heal myself up. Just a good deal all around. I probably should have played the Inkling first, just so I could have drawn a card. However, I happen to know my deck very well and knew that is the play I wanted to make. There was nothing I wanted to draw instead of that. But, under normal circumstances, or if you haven't played this deck as much as I have, you usually want to draw and replace first so you see what your options are.
Definitely, yeah. But everything was a moot point, I think, after you got the first Purple Reaver out.
If you don't answer the Reaper, it's game over. It's such a strong card. Like, it
Yeah.
hasn't been played for a while because 6 mana is a little slow, and the previous meta was all Vanar, which always had an answer for him, and before that, everyone was running 3 to 6 dispels, and he just felt a little slow.
Yeah.
But now the meta slowed down a little bit. Dispel's not as common, and Vanar's not quite as common. And thanks to Phantasm, Celerity is really powerful combined with him.
Yeah, it could just just take 25 hit points, like no problem, with a couple of procs. But you know, you remind me that I hate Vanna removal, so I made a deck. I made a deck called Too Many Targets, and it's a Vitruvian deck with like a bunch of like shit you really want to dispel. First of all, Amara, of course, and Trigon Obelisk, and I got that minion that kills everyone if you don't kill it. So yeah, so it's just like, what is this spell after another?
That's sort of the same principle behind my Bottomless Abyss here.
Right.
It's just got so many high value targets, even if you answer them, alright, sure, whatever, you spent your turn during doing that, here's another one.
Right. Right, very cool, very effective. We've seen you do some good work with it. So now, that's 3 games with this deck. So now we want to move to something, kind of a bonus, and something I really want to see in action. And it's, I love that you call it Hive Mind, this deck, and that you talk about how you assimilate other minions into your hive. And it's like basically we have Zenrui and Mind Lathe at work here. And those take your the opponent's minions. Sometimes, well, when it's Zenrui, it works with Void with. Let's load up the deck. It works with Void Pulse that we see here. Just lowers the attack and grabs the fucking minion.
I mean Void Steel, not Void Pulse.
Sorry, Void Steel. Yeah, of course. So yeah, so we want to talk. I already said the main.
Yeah, you
things.
covered the basics.
I covered the basics. We also have Blood Siren for lowering attack. That's so memey. I love that.
It's a little bit of a silly joke deck. It's actually really, really good.
Right.
I was
Okay.
surprised how effective it was.
Wow. Okay. That's cool. Well, Mind Lathe is definitely not to be trifled with.
Yeah, I really love Mind Lathe.
I know you love it.
Like that was my first deck of the season. Took me to top 50. Was a Mind Lathe Lilith variant, but that was back when the meta was still sort of new and nobody knew what they were doing. And since then, I really haven't played that deck much. It sort of evolved into Bottomless Abyss. Mind Lathe, how I was running it like Vanar can ping it off. There's so much ping in the meta.
Oh my
and there's
god.
so many minions that are just, opening Gambit, they need instant value to be played that you don't always get a lot of use out of Mind Lathe despite it being really good. But, it definitely still can work in the right deck. And this is one such deck. And it's also part of the theme, which is another fun part.
It's a great. I kind of don't dislike theme decks that are like, okay, this does this, and it's just conceptual. But if it's effective, that could be great. So,
it's a combination of Void Steel, Blood Siren, both abuse Zenrai. And they both let you get extra use out of your artifacts like Mind Lathe. And then Void Steel is also really good with Swarm, which is a natural combination there. It runs Darkfire Sacrifice to get those early Zenrais, and also is my favorite combo with Mind Lathe. It's a surprisingly effective deck with a lot of little ins and outs. It can be aggressive enough to beat aggro decks. It can just slower decks. It can just steal all their shit.
Right. I'm just surprised we don't see
It's a lot of fun.
no, I'm surprised we don't see a DFC here.
Well, I'm running Void Steel basically instead of Deathfire Crescendo because
Yeah, I got
it's
that,
almost
but
as good as
okay.
Crescendo, and the deck only had so much room. It's also just not a dedicated swarm deck. It can swarm a little bit early on there, but it just doesn't have enough swarm to really support
Right, gotcha.
constant Death Watch.
I understand. Okay. Okay,
But
great.
and besides, Grimoire was just the better choice here because it can protect the little bit of swarm that I do have.
Right, right, right. Okay.
The one in the video, it's playing Wraithling Swarm instead of Blood Priestess, but I've recently changed Wraithling Swarm for Blood Priestess because pretty much was just always replacing Wraithling Swarm and never like the only time you ever want to play it is as player two to take all the
Yeah.
blow. And my
Oh,
hand would be empty, and I just Blood Priestess is just such a classic, powerful card that I switched to that. I like it more, but this is a great game that I played recently with it.
okay. Which one is it? Oh,
It's,
against Zayd.
yeah, I don't want to again say he's a solid player,
Zayd
and
is solid. He's a pretty cool guy. I play him a lot. We check a lot of decks. Playing friendly games. So that's cool. So it's the fifth game.
yep.
All right. So I'll count to three. Three, two, one, go.
All right, so I like what I see so far. We've got the Cryptographer Furiosa open as player
Definitely.
two, which is just a beautiful open, and then we've got Grimoire to back that up. It's just great. But I don't need Desolator this early. Like Argion isn't usually aggro, at least not anymore, and I just don't need the card advantage this early. So instead, I was pitching that, just looking for some answers or something like Void Steel, which is always nice to see. But I ended up getting rid of that because I'm planning on going Soul Grimoire, so Void Steel was unnecessary.
We got a
I held
second
on to
crypto.
Mind Life.
You must be happy about the second crypto. If Furosa lives, oh my god.
If Furosa lives, I'd hold on to the Cryptographer. If she doesn't, he's probably the first thing I'd replace.
Right.
And Lionar in particular, you get the best use out of Mind Lathe because they're the one faction that still plays just fat, slow minions.
Right.
And Mind Lathe still is just a great card against in a lot of situations, but
Oh my god, I want to
it's
mind late
best.
the magical sentinel of Vanar. I want to mind late that so bad. Fuck you, Faye. Okay.
Yep. So he magnetizes such an underplayed, underestimated card.
True.
It's really good. Like just repositional effects in general are always good, especially one that can be used on either your opponent's stuff or yours. But
Yeah.
back to what I'm actually doing here, as planned. Since he killed the Furiosa, I pitched the other Cryptographer and went with the Grimoire play. I cleared his field, buffed up my Grimoire, but didn't suicide that Wraithling just because I wanted to block his direct access to walk
Definitely
into
a good
that
idea.
globe and just make him play around that. And just there was no reason for me to kill the Wraithling off right there. Like if he ignored it, then I'd be able to use it as a resource for something else. But at this point, I'm not really seeing that I'm going to be using my Mind Lathe. I could have used Mind Lathe Frenzy there against Wild Tar, but then unfortunately Grimoire's got me to the point where I'd kill the Wild Tar. So instead, I'm setting up just a Void Steel Wraithling play and then finishing off that Wild Tar. Just that's what's nice about Void Steel. Like it doubles as soft removal. It protects your artifacts. It combos with Zinrai, and unlike Crescendo, you can use it with just a single Wraithling on board and get pretty decent value out of it.
Yeah.
But he just buffs the Windblade up past its negative ability. That's another neat thing about how Duelist handles the map. Like Void Steel actually keeps track of its negative, so the minion will go to 0, and then if you buff it up only by 1, it can still stay at 0, and so on and so
Nice.
forth. Anyway, so now I'm just trying to get my health back, maintain card advantage while I look for some other stuff. I just Blood Siren the thing so I could trade into it freely. Blood Siren's a solid card. Just the way you can trade with it is always nice. It just doesn't usually make the cut because there's so many choices nowadays. Like, basically, you're going to run Phantasm over it in most decks. So, and I've got Desolator on board. That gives me all the healing I need. So, right now, I do need to be careful of, a roaring, holy tiger. So I'm setting up a little bit of a blockade and getting my health back up. Also just limiting his mobility and getting some good damage. Another thing I love to do with Desolator is, like, at 6 mana, just play him, Darkfire sack him, and then play him again.
Yeah, we talked
He was
about
at
it, yeah.
7 mana, so I know he couldn't, and his roar was on cooldown, so I know he probably couldn't kill me with what Lionar normally runs.
Yeah.
So I felt alright to just, play the 1 Desolator instead of using a Darkfire Sacrifice. So, there we go. Void Steel doing tons of work, which then lets me trade into it. I don't actually trade into it, I just play the Zenrai for style. But that also just, freed up the board to actually end the game this turn, thanks to Zenrai. Otherwise, he would have been alive with 2 health there.
Right.
Well, actually, no, I could have done both Wraithlings and my General. I guess I had game either way, but Zenrai was style.
Yeah, it's definitely fucking fun way to end the game. A bit of a surprise there, yeah.
Exactly. Precisely.
Yeah, very good, very good. I'm definitely gonna play around with this deck. Actually, I don't. I only have one Zenrai.
Yeah, that's sort of why I haven't. Like, I disenchanted him when they nerfed him a long time ago.
Oh. What was he?
I have not crafted new ones, but I've just slowly come to acquire to play set again and finally put the deck back together.
Did he have better stats or what?
He used to cost 5 mana and have shittier stats.
Oh, okay, but 5 mana is...
5 mana was a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
5 mana back then made him like a super meta card that got played a lot.
Oh yeah, I remember someone telling me that.
He was 5 mana during Songhai Dominance when they were always running stupid Lantern Fox and all kinds of stuff like that. He was
now I have Phoenix Fire.
But Zenrai is, better used in the early game, but he's just a fun little surprise that your opponent's not suspecting or playing around, since nobody has played him since his nerf.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, so yeah, I really enjoyed seeing these games. Congratulations on taking second in the tourney.
So sad. I wanted my tournament ribbon. Given it's only the 3rd tournament I've played in, I've taken second.
Yeah,
every
it's not
time.
Bad.
I'm just doomed to be number 2. Number 2 on the ladder. Number 2 in the tournaments.
Number 2 in real life. I'm just kidding. I meant poop, by the way. I'm sorry. It's really late, and I'm starting to lose my mind here. It's 2 a.m. I'm doing this show for you guys. I hope you enjoy it, and I want to thank you for being here.
Yeah, it's always a good time.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoyed, guys. So, catch you later, and see you in the next video.